Welcome to the Downton Abbey podcast, a place for Downton Abbey fans to share stories, thoughts, and feelings about the TV series, the movie, and other Downton-related experiences. I am Sandy Max, a TV, radio, and live event host based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And my friend Harvey jokingly calls me Downton Sandy because I am clearly enthusiastic about this subject and have had a couple of Highclere Castle adventures. You are cordially invited in this Downton Abbey podcast space to celebrate, debate, and indulge in all things Downton. This 5th episode is the first one full of fresh reviews of the official Downton Abbey movie, recorded in Milwaukee in September of 2019, immediately following the film's debut. You're going to hear what delighted and what disappointed a few fans, John, Kim, and Mike, and the opinions of an official film critic, Ryan J. Spoiler alert. Yes, there are spoilers in this episode. The idea of this reviews episode is that these are conversations you'd have with your friends in the lobby after the movie or over coffee and pie to compare notes. So if you have not seen the movie yet and do not want to hear any spoilers, hold off on this episode. Go back and listen to the first 4 podcasts. Those will get you in the mood to see the movie. And last call to register for a trip to Highclere Castle and a Downton Abbey autographed movie script. Learn more just before the end of this episode.
I'm Jonathan Lord, the Chief Development Officer at Milwaukee PBS and a big Downton Abbey fan.
Okay, we're going to start with one-word review.
Fantastic.
What was one of your favorite parts of the movie?
They didn't miss a chance to make Maggie Smith shine. It was like the parade of one-liners for her. And I will lick the stamps myself is the takeaway from this entire movie. But I will say, in a kind of a surprising way, but a delightful way, Molesley. I just love him. They gave him some really good moments to shine in a very Molesley way.
Those are the laugh out loud moments to me, but they're genuine.
Oh, totally genuine. And yes, in character, in place, they show you, I think, how anyone in the modern day would actually end up reacting to all of these manners that we don't know now. And he knows, but he just can't make it happen. It's fantastic, but it's so tender at the same time. Like, you laugh with him, not at him, because he is such a pure soul.
What else did you enjoy about the film?
I liked the fact that there were a few moments, because no matter what, Edith has to have some kind of a sad sack moment, and seeing the gown and just thinking, oh, poor Edith. But she rose up again. And just like at the end of the series, at the end of the movie, she has this fantastic moment. And she was always the underdog I rooted for all the way through, because Mary is someone you like, but sometimes you like to hate her too. Whereas Edith was someone you wanted good things for her eventually, and it all happened.
You're like, she's due.
She was so due. And she and Bertie are just the perfect couple, I think. And where she ended up in her confidence, and I loved watching her arc in this because it was very Edith, but it was still very fresh and taking her to new places.
What surprised you in the film? Anything?
The thing that surprised me the most was that knowing that the king and queen were coming from just a preview, I expected that to be a part of this, or maybe it would move on from that. But they found so much material to mine over the course of just a day and a half, 2 days with this visit, that fleshed out the movie in such a way, and everyone was still able to get their moment and have a storyline, and with this kind of conceit of the king and queen being there. And I did not expect it to be so all-encompassing for the film, and I found that delightful.
It allowed us to go back to the world of Downton Abbey, but still give us a new world to enjoy.
Yes, completely. And the thing that I really like, the whole upstairs downstairs has always been, such a crucial part of this. But then with the king and queen staff, the royal housekeeping staff coming in and adding like a quad level, tri-level house, all of a sudden there's upstairs, mid-stairs, downstairs, and to see them revolt, to see the Downton staff kind of get at the royal staff and have their moment and take over and shine was just, I mean, everyone around me was laughing and loving it and cheering for them, and they wanted it to happen, and it was perfect in what you wanted to see, because as much as, you relate to the downstairs staff, they're still downstairs staff, and they're never going to quite have the upstairs moments, but they got to with that kind of revenge in this. And it was just wonderful because they actually had power.
Yeah. Since you saw it in the theater, surrounded by people, were there moments that were collective, where maybe the whole audience reacted, or you could hear other people react to certain moments?
All of the Violet moments. The big moment was the stamp licking. That was like the big thing, but it was and nothing that I noticed, but more like what I felt. I could hear people behind me having the same reactions I was reacting to at the same time. So it was this very communal experience. You know, it wasn't like going to a big action film where everyone's like cheering and applauding in the middle of the film, but everyone was sighing or giggling or laughing or, you know, like at the same time reacting the same way, because it was just very clear that we've all been in this world a lot and we were all very happy to be back.
Yeah. As you can hear in the background, dear listeners, there are people gabbing, and where we are right now is at one of the early screenings in Milwaukee. And kind of describe how you organized this, John, and who was here tonight.
Tonight was, we organized it with Focus Features. They reached out to Milwaukee, or to PBS stations across the country, and had us work with them to work with a local theater that they selected, that they were going to do some advanced rollout with. And we got the venue, got a date, and let all of our members know about this and gave them the opportunity to come out and see this. We wanted to give everyone a chance to come together in a special space with other people that loved it just as much, you know, and to give them photo opportunities, to do trivia, to have costumes, and just to make it a really special event on top of being an advanced screening. And everyone, I think, had a really great time.
I also feel like so many people discovered Downton Abbey on PBS. If you've listened to the other Downton Abbey podcasts, that's one of my main questions. Like, okay, well, how did you discover it? Because sometimes people discovered it late and started streaming, but pretty much everybody turned to PBS or discovered it on PBS.
And that's how I discovered it. It was before I worked for PBS. Big PBS fan since I was a kid, watched lots of different programming, but when I was growing up, Masterpiece was always something that I really didn't latch onto, like Upstairs, Downstairs, all of those. I knew they were there. I didn't really watch them. And so when Downton started, I'd heard about it, kind of set it off to the side. I'm like, oh, another stuffy kind of Masterpiece thing. And everyone I knew was watching it. And so at the end of the first season, I finally sat down, and they had it was before binging online, so like they actually had a weekend of rerunning everything. Watched the entire season in 2 days and was captivated, and it helped me understand or start seeing parts of PBS that I thought were a little stuffy at the time as being completely relevant, completely modern, creating drama in a way that I didn't really know or wasn't giving credit to, like growing up. And so now this has helped me watch a bunch of other Masterpiece stuff that I didn't watch when I was growing up. So now I feel like I'm much more well-versed in the entire PBS universe of programs, and not just what I've been watching for decades before this.
This is your gateway.
Yes, it was my gateway, and I'm addicted, and I'm so happy. I wouldn't change a thing.
And now you're a part of the PBS world. Be honest. What were you disappointed in? What do you wish could have happened in the movie?
What do I wish could have happened? At the end, there were a lot of things, and this is not something, I guess, it's something that hasn't happened yet. They did a very good job of putting a bow at the end of the movie, I think, and kind of wrapping things up. And some of the articles I read were like, if the audience is there, they could do other ones. And I think that they did such a good job with this of telling a story, a finite story beyond the series, and with giving the characters a really great kind of stopping point, or a place where you knew what they were going to launch into next, that I don't feel like I have to see another movie. Like, I kind of like to, but at the same time, I'm kind of content with this being the end. And I kind of wanted to get to the end and think, oh, this is like a new trilogy of movies. But I'm really happy with this. And so I guess it's not a sadness, but it's not the takeaway I was expecting, but it's a takeaway I'm really happy with.
Excellent. Any other thoughts on the Downton Abbey film or PBS or anything else?
stuff. This has been amazing and a fantastic way to recap it and keep it all fresh so I didn't just drive home alone in my car and then forget everything I enjoyed.
But that's part of this podcast is really, I feel like so many of us watched it on Sunday nights by ourselves or, just with one other person, but we're all excited about this. And who do you go out and have pie and coffee with after the movie? Not all of us get to, or we go with that one friend, but we still want to hear what other people think. So that's what Downton Abbey is, the review episodes are about.
Yes. Well, and that's, the few evenings that we had friends over for dinner and Downton and would eat and then watch it and then have dessert afterward. Those were the episodes I remember the best.
Sure.
And because we talked about it the entire time, those are the things that we reacted to. I think, when I'm watching things alone, I react inside, but when I'm with a group, I feel much more free to be a little louder with my laughter or, to be a little external. And I think that this kind of like a podcast about it and talking with and sitting in a giant room with 250 some other people, it's the best way to experience stuff like this. Even when it's a movie and it's not live theater, you still react together, and that's fantastic.
I'm Kim Sosa. I work at Milwaukee PBS, and I have been watching Downton Abbey since its beginning. I've been waiting all summer for this movie.
And now you've seen it.
I saw the Downton Abbey movie. I can't believe I can finally say that.
Yay. Okay. A one-word review.
Brilliant.
A very British word.
Very British. But I think that the Dowager would be okay with that.
So let's go. What are some of your favorite parts of the movie?
Oh my gosh. Well, the Dowager, of course, great lines, great wit, great banter. It was so great to just see how everybody is after a few years. It seems like they never even left the screen. I was just excited to see what Mary's been up to, what's been going on with Edith, and it looks like she's doing okay. Everything's going okay, except for that dress scene. I don't know.
What do you mean about the dress scene?
Oh, Edith. That dress was going to come in time for the ball. She didn't know if it was going to come in time. And then when she puts it on and she's swimming in it, oh my gosh, it was just classic Edith. We all needed that in the movie.
Any other favorite moments?
Mosley stole the show. Literally stole the show.
100%. He is my absolute favorite. I've seen it twice now, and I laugh out loud at pretty much every time he's on the screen.
The person that I was sitting next to watching this movie, every time Mosley showed up on the screen, you could hear a little bit of excitement. Like, oh, what's he going to say? What's he going to do? What's his facial expression going to be? And he delivered.
And this is a perfect combination of drunken jig Mosley and sad sack Mosley.
Yes, I think that this was like his dream come true in this movie, and it was kind of awkward. It was kind of awkward at first, and then it was fine, and then it got really awkward. But you know what? At the end of the day, he came through. He just came through for everybody in the theater, and I hope he still has a job at Downton.
You don't want him to be a teacher anymore?
No, I don't. He needs to be with the Crawleys. Don't you think?
Well, I enjoyed it. I can tell you that one of my favorite things when the trailer came out, I don't know exactly what this says about me, but, oh, this is wonderful. Great drone shots of Highclere Castle, and we're going back to Downton Abbey. But one of the things that caught my eye is like, oh, Mr. Mosley, look at his coat. It looked like an Adam Ant coat, It's just like, oh, he's got a fancy jacket.
There were a couple of 80s throwback moments with the costumes. I think with that, and then I think also with Lady Mary's red leather coat when they were in the rain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of like a Motel's video or something,
The lapel with the button. Yeah. Oh, I did notice that.
Thank you. Yeah, there were 80s moments, and I'm like, okay, so how do the cycles work with fashion? And yeah, it could go back to that.
What were you disappointed by in the film?
I am disappointed that I'm not sure if there's going to be another one. I thought that they would end it in more of an obvious tone of, oh, there's going to be more to come. So I feel a little bit lacking right now that it's over. And there was just a sad scene with the Dowager in it. I didn't see that coming at all. I really didn't. I just, because she's legendary and everything. And so I was like, oh, don't say that. I think I even kind of blurted out a little bit when I was watching. I'm like, no, don't say it. Don't say it. And yeah, that was my only disappointing thing.
Aww.
Yeah.
But that's, you knew it was a Julian Fellows drama.
It's true. And there was a lot of drama in it. I mean, oh my gosh, there were so many secrets and so many hijinks and so many twists and turns. And he delivered. He really delivered. Every single character in this movie, every single character from the entire series is so interesting. It's so cool that every single character has a treatment, has a story. You get to know them and everything. You love people, you hate people, you love and hate people, the same character. I think it's just been a great series in the last 10 years. It's one of those that if you're just kind of surfing on the TV or something and you see it on, you just kind of leave it on and just kind of pick up with whatever's going on upstairs and downstairs. And we want more of it.
So you may recognize the voice of the next person because he was a guest on the second episode of Downton Abbey, talking about his enthusiasm for Downton Abbey and anticipation for the movie. Please, and reintroduce yourself to the Downton Abbey listeners.
Good evening, milady. Mike Jakubowski, Oak Creek, Wisconsin.
So, Mike, you have just seen the movie. I'm eager to hear your review. A one-word review.
Fun.
What were your favorite parts about it?
I didn't expect it to be laugh out loud funny. There were at least 8 to 10 times where it was laugh out loud funny on top of the great storytelling and historical perspective. But the overwhelming takeaway was it was just a fun evening.
What were some of your favorite parts, whether they were funny or just interesting or meaningful?
Kevin Doyle stole the show. Mr. Molesley, we had talked about him previously and were charmed by his inclusions in the TV series, but he stole the show. He stole every scene he was in. Laugh out loud funny in at least 4 or 5 instances.
What else did you enjoy about the movie? Other than now, I kind of want to see a Mr. Molesley movie.
Yeah. There's definitely a spinoff there. Molesley, 1933. It was very fun, and it was, I thought, a natural move into the future for these characters, and it was fun to return to that world. And then it quickly leapt into the drama of the king and queen visiting among all the other subplots.
Were there moments that you noticed like the audience liked or reacted to?
I did. In fact, it was 3/4 filled theater. So you're used to watching Downton Abbey in your own home by yourself or with 1 or 2 people. So I've never really watched in a group setting like that. And to have your own emotions multiplied by the number of people, I was really interested by the group reaction of the funny scenes and some of the surprising moments, amplified of many people reacting at the same time. So interesting that I'd never experienced that particular show in that environment, but to see it in a theater with other people was completely different.
And enjoyable?
Most enjoyable, as the movie-going experience has been since its existence. It was meant to be seen on a big screen with other people sharing their reactions. So
you mentioned there were some surprising moments. What were some of those moments that surprised you in the film?
Oh, the Thomas storyline was very interesting. The revelation of Lady Grantham, the Dowager Countess, was poignant near the end, and very interesting and fun. Despite the large amount of characters, I would have preferred to see a little more Mr. Bates, but I thought it was a great ensemble piece, and everybody kind of got a moment during the piece. Given the Herculean task of coming up with an appropriate storyline for a series that went 6 years to try to encapsulate a lot of what was good in a single movie presentation, hats off to Messrs. Name and Fellows for providing an excellent screenplay, well acted, and just a fun ride and a return to that time frame and those characters.
Is there anything that was disappointing in the film?
I can't say disappointing, other than the pace of the television show was more relaxed and maybe more time to enjoy. And really, it was a breakneck pace of the movie in that there was always another piece happening and another character and another scene. There wasn't a lot of time to savor and enjoy. You were on to the next. And I think that it was an extreme challenge to get it within a time frame of a movie and to try to develop a little bit of drama and a little bit of resolution and tell a story. So from that pace, maybe it wasn't as relaxed as the show, but I thought equally as enjoyable. I hated having it end because it was just such a fun return to the storylines and perhaps the way that the downstairs crew united in a way that wouldn't be expected was an unexpected delight.
Do you vote for a sequel or not a sequel?
Bring it on, more. Molesley should have his own story, and I think there's more stories to be told. I think that the prelude of what was coming at the end of the Roaring '20s with the stock market crash and the World Depression and the lead up to World War II and what would have happened to the Crawleys during the '40s and the subsequent post-war era, I think there's a lot of room for historical storytelling with this fictional family in a way to look at a very important time period in a new, refreshing way.
Any other thoughts about the Downton Abbey film experience?
Go see it. And if you're interested in seeing it and someone else isn't, I think they would be suitably entertained, even given not having been exposed to the 6 seasons on PBS. For me, it was a lot of fun and a nice evening of entertainment.
So we've gotten some fan reviews, but let's go another route. Let's find out the opinion of a professional movie critic.
Hello, I'm Ryan J. of RyanJReviews.com. I'm nationally syndicated on radio with over 2 million listeners through Premier Networks, and I'm on television in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but I love doing what I do because I get to vote for the Critics' Choice Awards. I'm a member of the Broadcast Film Critics Association. So, Sandy, I'm so honored to be included in your Downton Abbey podcast. Thank you for having me.
Glad that you are here, and I want to ask first, are you a Downton Abbey fan?
No. Only because I've not seen the show. I'm a fan of much of the talent in this cast, and I think a lot of the people who I've gotten to know from the series have gone on to do other things that I do know. And then, of course, there's Maggie Smith, who I adore for so many reasons, but also because, hello, she's Professor McGonagall from Harry Potter. But I'm becoming a Downton Abbey fan because I loved the film.
So this is going to be a particularly interesting conversation to get it from your perspective as fresh to the Downton Abbey series, but also with your career and writing, so that way you're informing potential viewers and now potential people. Like, we all know our Downton Abbey fans. We're going to go see the movie, but there are people who will be interested in it but feel like maybe they're alienated. So it's going to be interesting to hear your perspective. First, though, I want your one-word review after seeing the film.
Oh God, how? When my career is about giving many words, it's hard to boil it down. How about luxurious?
Ooh, see, you came up with a good word. What were your favorite parts of the film?
Well, I feel like it's 2 movies in one. I feel like there's what's happening upstairs and what's happening downstairs. And only 2 points throughout this film, I saw them intersect. And I liked those moments a lot. But I really loved what was happening downstairs much more with the maids. I thought that drama was juicier than the rich people's problems, so to speak. I was like, oh no, so I don't normally do spoilers, but here's one of the things I'm going to revel in speaking with you is that I know we can kind of go there on this podcast. So, the problem of like, oh no, I'm pregnant, my husband's going to be traveling. I was like, cry me a river versus like, I'm in jail for being gay, a pervert. You know what I mean? Quote unquote. As a gay man, that obviously really spoke to me. This taking place in the 20s, not that long ago, or what? Well, I guess 100 years ago.
Longer, yeah. I didn't even think of it like that. 1927 and 2019.
But it was, still illegal up until about 40 years ago. So, there were some things that really spoke to me. I think some of the characters were great. My favorite part, though, had to be the confrontation between Imelda Staunton and Maggie Smith. I thought that, and I think the film really built to it in a nice way also.
And as you probably have found out in talking with other friends of yours who are Downton Abbey fans, the Dowager Countess delivers.
Yes. People say that Maggie Smith always had a lot of great one-liners. Yep. I have to tell you, there were some moments where I was very much on the outside. Since I didn't know the inside jokes, since I never watched even one episode of this series, I was confused for the first 40 minutes of this film. I remember thinking like Michelle Dockery and her character, and then the guy who played Bronson or something. Or
Branson. That's Tom.
Thank you.
I'm happy. I'm here to help.
Thank you. I'm legit not the fan. I remember I was thinking, are they married? Are they brother and sister? And then you find out they're in-laws, yes. Sibling in-laws. And I was, that kind of thing. I was confused about who was who and what was going on. So sort of like figuring things out as it goes. And there were times where people in the audience were laughing to things that Maggie Smith would say or other things that were going on where I was like, oh, I don't have this inside joke because I do not have the insight of the history of these characters. And I'm not coming at this with the love of 6 seasons.
Yeah. So were there other noticeable crowd reactions at the screening you attended?
Well, I got to attend the screening with my movie club. So I had about 30 friends there and viewers of mine from TV, and they were all people. I made sure that they were all people when they entered to attend the screening with me were rabid fans. So people were literally foaming at the mouth, including my mother, who never before, like on a daily basis for 3 weeks up and counting down to this screening, every day was like, we've got Downton Abbey coming up. I was like, yes, Mom. Yes, we do. It's still happening. So the reaction was grand.
And you were the favorite son.
I was the favorite son for once. It was fun because you could just, I know what it's like. I'm a total geek for certain things. And so getting to experience this film in an audience filled with really obsessive fans, I thought was really fun for me to see and hear that appreciation.
Was there anything that surprised you in the film?
I was surprised, I guess, by the gay storyline. I didn't expect that. So, even as it was happening, I turned to my friend and whispered in her ear during the screening, like, wait, are they actually at like an underground gay bar right now? Like that's what's going on here? Because it's kind of like, I was like, it's obviously what's happening, but I was like, wait, doth mine eyes deceive me? It's like, so I was surprised by that. I was glad to see that, obviously as a gay man, to be able to relate to a character so personally. And then I just didn't realize like how fun it would be again downstairs. I think the storyline of the competition that was going on there between the King's crowd versus their own ownership over their territorialism over what's going on downstairs. I have to tell you the drama I would not regret. I saw this for work, but I would not have regretted spending the ticket price on this film. I think it's highly entertaining. It's gorgeous. It's a great period film, but the drama really only ever reaches the level of a really good Hallmark movie. Now, I like Hallmark movies. I watch hundreds of them every year. And so for me, calling it a Hallmark movie is actually a compliment coming from me. It's an insult if I were to call it a Lifetime movie. That to me is a very bad made-for-TV movie. Hallmark does a good job, but Hallmark, one of the things I love so much about Hallmark is its decompression viewing because the drama is really not that dramatic. For example, and again, spoiler alert, with the gun scene in Downton Abbey, it's like the gun doesn't even fire and they don't even see, and it's like, so it's all kept very quiet and very proper. It's almost very British, I suppose. But so I felt like this was all very, low-level drama ultimately, which is fine, and which it speaks again to the audience. This is a movie that is made for fans of the show.
What is a real criticism you may have with the film or something that disappointed you?
Ooh, that's good. I've been focusing so much on the positive. I guess that I think it's that lack of drama. I think it did feel a little bit like just I was watching an episode of something on television, and now you're going to hate me. There's a lot better television out there right now. I love the things that I'm binge watching and the series that I'm watching. I think are much more. There's a lot of television that's better than what we're seeing in movies. Even that's part of the reason why box office is struggling at sometimes, and why we're seeing so many remakes and why we're seeing things like Downton Abbey, or we're seeing sequels coming because investors in film want sure bets at the box office. There's no such thing as a sure bet, but we're seeing a lack of originality. Originality is really coming into the streaming and television right now, and that's why some television like Big Little Lies, like Ozark, like Succession, these shows that are like outstanding, Mindhunter, great television that far exceeds even some of the movies that I have to sit through and watch for work. So I think that there is better drama out there. There are, in my opinion, better shows. I am actually going to watch some episodes. This movie did whet my appetite. I'm gonna give Downton Abbey a try.
There we go.
Should I start with season 1?
Yes.
Okay, because part of me just wants to start with season 4. I don't know why.
I would say, no, you'll, like you were saying, enjoying the history and building those relationships with some of the characters. Start with season 1, because season 1 and season 2, in my opinion, are particularly very, very well written, and you're developing the characters, and there are reveals along the way, and you are going to get a lot more drama. Try to avoid spoilers. Okay. You'll get a lot more drama as you get attached to characters and just their journeys upstairs and downstairs. Mm-hmm. You'll be glad. It'll be time well invested if you start with the very first episode.
Okay, I'll do that then. Thank you, Sandy.
You're very welcome.
Do you think, like, I did hear, because some of my friends like you who are big fans of the show said that the drama was heightened in the actual series, right? There's murders, there's things that are real tragedies, right?
Yes, and you have more time to develop that. And it really was one of the things in revisiting and talking with some of the guests on Downton Abbey so far, is one of the things that we all realize is when this started, it was a weekly series. You didn't binge, and it was on PBS, and every Sunday night you're revisiting, like, what's going to happen now. And there was it could take a little bit more time and build more, where this movie, super fun, super fabulous, 2 hours, but it's like 2 episodes in one. And to work in all of the characters that we enjoy so much, I'm sure some fans feel a little shortchanged that they didn't get enough Mr. Bates, or that they didn't get enough of some of their favorite characters, because you had to balance so many storylines in a shorter amount, in 2 episodes instead of a 10-hour series.
And there's one thing that you told me about that I wish I had known prior to seeing the screening, which was online. There's that Downton Abbey series 1 to 6 recap. That's about 10 minutes.
Yeah. And it's hosted by Jim Carter, who is the voice of Carson the Butler. So pretty much, he could read a restaurant menu and you would be rapt at attention. His voice is so mellifluous. Yes, if you haven't seen it yet, look it up online on YouTube. And I went to the screening on September 12th because I just...
Lucky you. Say it again.
Because I just couldn't wait. And at that screening, that 10-minute recap was aired before the movie. And I think that's a great thing to do for everyone, because all of us loyal fans, we're going to enjoy that because it's a great blast from the past, and we see all those characters, and it's a bit of a refresher. And for people like you who've never been, it would be a little bit more of a welcome mat.
Absolutely, would have helped. I think anyone listening to Downton Abbey, if you're going to be taking any friends or lovers or anyone to this who hasn't seen the show as you have, just let them watch that video first, because that, I think, would have really helped my appreciation for the film even more.
And final question. Sequel or no sequel?
I think it's certainly set up for a sequel, but the box office will answer that. I think if it makes over 100 million domestically, we'll see a sequel. I think it's going to do quite well. It's already doing well overseas. So, and the fans, listen, I mean, we got to speak for it, right? You guys, if you liked it, just like Sex and the City had its sequel and would have had a third, if not for one, what's her name?
Kim Cattrall?
Kim Cattrall, yeah. How dare I? Where's my head this morning? Yeah. She very vocally was not back for that third installment, making that big film franchise a trilogy. So if you want a trilogy or more of Downton Abbey, and why wouldn't you, go see it multiple times.
How do your thoughts compare to all of the ones you heard? I want to know. Email me, comment on social media, send me a video or a voice note. Let me know your review and opinions of the Downton Abbey movie. If you dressed up, I'd really like to see those fun and creative photos. I may be able to work your review into Downton Abbey podcast too. Go to sandymax.com. Email me or message me on social media at my website, sandymax.com. That's where you'll find Downton Abbey prizes and giveaways. You'll see a Downton Abbey section, and that's where you can register to win trips to Highclere Castle and Downton Abbey collectibles. About a week left to register for one of the Highclere Castle trips and for the movie script signed by some of the cast members. All my contact info is on my website, SandyMaxx.com. That's 2 X's. Also on social media, Sandy Max on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Downton Blabby, also on social media at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Follow along for updates and unique opportunities. If you're discovering this podcast, please help other fans find me too. Subscribe so you don't miss my next podcast upload. And share, rate, and review. It's your favorite podcast source. What is it? There's so many. Apple, Google, Spreaker, Stitcher, whatever you like to listen to. Please do and subscribe. Your rating, your review of Downton Blabby, that helps me know what you like about the podcast and what you want to hear on this show. Apple and Google make it pretty easy to leave 5 stars and a sentence. A special shout out, or maybe a tip of the Dowager's hat, to Twin Mommy 06, who left an Apple Podcast review writing simply, quote, "Fun listen before going to see the movie tonight. We'll keep listening," end quote. And a smiley face emoticon. That kind of made my day. Thank you. When you share the podcast with a Facebook post or tweet on Instagram, use hashtag Downton Blabby so I can find you and reshare or repost. Please spread the good word of Downton Blabby in your own way. Thank you to everyone who's been part of getting Downton Blabby started. I'm Sandy Max. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to meeting you back here for another round of reviews on Downton Blabby.
I will lick the stamps myself.